Welcome back to Central News. Community Radio Hamilton is hard at work raising $100,000 to launch a full-power FM frequency this August. We caught up with General Manager Phil Gray to see how the fundraising was going.
Phil, Community Radio Hamilton is on its way to launching a full-power frequency this year. Tell us about it.
Well, we've been very lucky in that we were recently allocated the 89 FM frequency. It's a frequency that's existed in Hamilton for years, actually, since 1986, I think, held by the Waikato Students' Union for a long, long time, but that licence expired last year. So the government had to think about what they wanted to do with that licence. They created a new set of conditions for that licence, so new sort of criteria that applicants needed to meet, and a bunch of people applied for the use of that licence. We're very lucky to be chosen and allocated that frequency, so we've been busy since then trying to make it a reality for us.
And what do you think set you apart from the other applicants in getting the frequency?
I think the best fit, actually, the best fit for the new criteria. The licence was very clearly written by the authorities to be allocated to a not-for-profit community organisation, one with sound governance and management structure in place, but also one that provided broadcasting for the community in all the diversity that our community involves.
So what community broadcasting is Community Radio Hamilton providing?
Well, while our name is Community Radio Hamilton, we're actually what's called a community access radio station, and that's quite different to your regular kind of community stations around the country. There are 12 community access stations, and what sets us apart is that every one of them has a funding contract with the government through New Zealand On Air. So we're partly funded to do a very specific job, and that's about providing access to the airwaves, in our case, for minorities or unrepresented sectors of the community. And there's some priorities that are spelled out for us. So our job, first and foremost, is to give those little niche sectors of our community a place where they can come and actually be a part of the local media.
And what niche sectors do we have here involved in Hamilton?
Oh, many. The priority for us is, it's actually written into the legislation, and it talks about women, youth, children, ethnic minorities, migrants, refugee communities, health and disability sector, not-for-profit organisations, and also a range of religious and ethical beliefs. So kind of hobbies, interests, political interests, religious interests, anything that's not really getting good sort of coverage out in mainstream media.
Okay, and going back to full power frequency, what will this mean for both the station and for listeners?
Well, this station has had an AM frequency for many, many years, and that served us really well, but AM radio it's really history for most people. There's a generation or two generations really for whom AM transmission is irrelevant. They don't recognise what it is and certainly don't use it. We've had what's called a low power FM frequency for about 5 years. Now, low power FM allows a range of people to broadcast in FM, but only at a very low power output, so with a very limited range. So we've done both of those things for a number of years now, but it makes it harder to find. It makes it harder for the community to actually tune into us. So first and foremost for us, at 89 FM, people will just be able to turn on the radio and everybody will be able to find us, and the range will be much, much greater.
And obviously in terms of the listeners, you're going to be more accessible now as well.
That's what it's all about. For successful access radio, it's about accessibility.
But it's not cheap. It costs about $100,000. So how are you fundraising the money?
Well, $100,000 or thereabouts is what it's costing us. We need to invest in an enormous amount of equipment. None of our current transmission equipment can be used for the new frequency, so we're having to import transmitters and linking devices, a whole lot of things that we're having to invest in. It's a big investment. It's certainly well beyond our current means. So, yeah, we've been really busy fundraising.
And so far I understand you're up around the $85,000 mark, so where's that money come from?
Oh, a whole range of activities. Firstly, our own volunteer broadcasters have been really, really busy. We've been doing lots and lots of fundraising events, some really cool stuff. Just this weekend, just gone, we had an event called Buzz the Fuzz, where Councillor Dave McPherson and Constable Willie Cuthers got up on stage and got a head shaving, and in Dave's case, eyebrows and legs as well. So that was really successful for us and a really cool event. That was great. But largely, funding came from a range of local agencies who give out funding for projects. So DV Bryant, Trust Power, Trust Waikato, also some local businesses, SBS Bank, really supportive for us, and Fairfield Rotary were another one. So yeah, and plenty more.
So you're at about $85,000 now. What's the next step?
Well, we've got more things to do. We've got some events coming up that are still in the planning stages. We're still out there trying to get donations from people. We're using givealittle.co.nz as a website where people can contribute to this project. And certainly we've got more funding applications in the pipeline. So yeah, we're determined, and we're certainly hopeful we're going to make that ultimate goal of just over $100,000.
Community Radio Hamilton will be launching with the new frequency, new look and new name in August this year, so look out for your new radio station. If you want to donate or help support them, head to givealittle.co.nz. Well, that brings us to the end of the show for today and for another week. We always like to hear from our viewers, so send us any feedback you may have either via email or Facebook. Kasia and I will be back with you next week with more guests from in and around the region. Until then, I'm Katrina McKinley, and from the Central News team, we wish all the mums out there a very happy Mother's Day to you for Sunday.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand.